Hurricane Maria was a most devastating hurricane the island has ever went through. For me and for my mother, it was unbelievably bad.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pamela Brewer, welcoming you to this edition of M.E.S.H. Today, I am joined by, quite frankly, an old friend and a dear friend. Her name is Selma Rodriguez, and Selma lived through the hurricanes of 2017. In 2017, there were two hurricanes. First, Irma, which sort of grazed Puerto Rico, and then Maria came, Maria stayed, and Maria was, well, let's meet Selma and let Selma tell us. Selma, welcome to M.E.S.H. You live in Puerto
Thank you.
Rico. You heard me just say that. Tell us what Hurricane Maria was like for you and your mom.
It was something we had never been through. Being a New Yorker, you have no idea what a hurricane really is like. Until Maria hit, we were prepared as much as possible. But unfortunately, since we had a Hurricane Irma first, 2 weeks prior to Maria, we had no water and we had no electricity whatsoever. So we had generators and candles and flashlights and buckets of water and tanks of water, and that was it. That's what we were expecting, just a small little thing until the governor came on. That was devastating. When he came on and told us that it was going to be a very devastating hurricane and to really prepare, you would hear people hammering wood on their panels, on their windows, and closing shutters. And I'm crazy going around the house closing all the shutters I had installed. I wasn't expecting that. That night was unbelievable. The sound when it started to arrive in the island, it was like a train, a real train coming right through our yard. And I could hear the trees fall. I could hear the branches hitting the top of the house. I could hear the I could hear the aluminum flying all over.
Oh, my
Trash
word.
cans, everything. It was devastating for everyone. And it was more devastating after the hurricane when we opened up and we saw what had happened.
What did
Trees had
happen?
fallen.
What did you see?
Fallen trees, branches all over. Our sewer system was cluttered with leaves, so the water was rising. Two of my neighbors' houses flooded completely. They lost their furniture. They lost their mattresses. They lost everything inside the house because they were near the drainage sewage. And everybody was helping everybody.
Selma, when you say that they were near the drainage sewage and they lost everything, so what does that mean? Did they literally see their house literally going down the drain?
No. In front of their houses, the water, when it runs down the street, it goes down the sewer. There's a drainage.
Right.
And unfortunately, their houses have a drainage right near.
I see.
So when the leaves started to fall from the trees, it started to pile up on top, and it wouldn't allow the water to go into the drainage. So the water started to rise.
Hence
and
the
it went,
flooding.
that's hence the flooding, but it only happened in a few houses. We lived a little further up, so it didn't affect us. The water didn't affect us at all, but it did affect the neighbors. But we all tried to give a hand each other, but it was unbelievable. It really was, especially when we were running out of gas or petroleum and we had to go to the gas station to get gas. That was nerve-wracking.
How were you able to get to the gas station?
Oh, yeah. But I had to get up at 4:00 in the morning.
Wow.
And take a turn. And the line of cars were unbelievable. Because at that time, remember, solar panels weren't really in at the time. Very few houses had them.
Gotcha.
So everybody had generators. Some generators ran with gasoline, and other generators ran with other gas and so forth. And the smell in the air was devastating. That's how I got my cancer, because the air was so polluted. And I'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, just put something on, comb my hair a little bit, and go take the car and run to the gas station and wait my turn. Sometimes it would be an hour or 2 hours or an hour and a half. Meanwhile, the generator that I had, it would be running low, and my mother didn't know how to handle it, and my heart would be ticking like a mile a minute because I wanted to get home, because I know that she didn't know how to operate the generator.
Right.
That was very scary, and I was lucky. I'd make it and get gas. Sometimes I wasn't so lucky. At one time, I remember that just as I got to the pump, the owner of the gas station came and said, "I'm sorry, but I ran out of gasoline."
Oh, no.
Yeah, that happened to me, and it was devastating because I had to find another gas station, and the
Oh,
lines were even longer. And believe it or not, I found a gas station about half a mile, not even a half a mile from where I live. Been there 1,000 times. And again, the same thing happened, and I got lost. It was
let me,
so dark.
let me
It
ask
was
you
night.
this. Well,
Yeah.
but also according to what I understand, there was no electricity on the island. There were over
No.
40,000 landslides. Almost all of the cellular service, if there was any, was no longer available. What was your expectation? I mean, Puerto Rico, America together.
I was hoping that FEMA would be able to help us. Even the mayor that we had here in San Juan, even she asked for help.
But did you get the
Everyone was
help?
devastated.
Did you get help?
Much, much later, much later. By that time, we were already uh, had adjusted to everything, and we had water, and we were starting to get together. And the neighbors, we were helping each other, but it was hard. It was really hard. Uh, Finally, at the end, we were at the fourth month. My money was going. What cash I had, because you could only use cash, what cash I had was just draining me. It was, and I told my mother, "Look, I have very little cash. Let me call the island where my uncle lived,
Okay.
my mother's brother, and my cousin. She has an extra room. Let me see if they have electricity." And when I called, she said, "I've had electricity for the past 2 months."
Wow. And
I,
you had
I,
none.
I had none. I said, "Are you kidding me?" She goes, "No. Why don't you come on down?" So I grabbed the car. With my mother and I just threw whatever we could in a small suitcase, and we rushed to her house, which is 3 hours and a half away.
You know,
And yeah,
no, please continue.
when we got there, the first thing we did was take a nice warm bath.
I
That
can
was the
understand
first
that.
thing we did.
Well, you had water there.
And yeah, she had water and everything, and it was close to Christmas also. It was like a couple of weeks away from Christmas. So
Wow.
we were able to spend holidays with them.
That's
And we weren't
wonderful.
expecting that. It was good. We had other cousins that were there, and they were also so kind and so grateful and so happy to see us. And they all were giving us, making us feel very comfortable, because they
Let,
knew what we had gone through.
let
But
me
that
ask you
wasn't the
this.
top. Yeah.
Oh, there was a topper?
Oh, yes.
What was the
My
topper?
cousin, my topper, you're not going to believe this. My topper was my cousin neglected to tell me that she had COVID.
Oh, no. Wait a minute. You were there with your mom. Your mom's a little bit older than you are.
A
In
little bit.
fact,
She was in
as
the
we
90s.
speak, your mom is
Yes.
105 as we speak.
Yes. Right.
Wow.
She was 105, but she had her COVID injections. When we got there, she told me that she had a little cold. Yeah, well,
It
but
was
my mother
COVID.
caught it. My mother caught it. And luckily, there was a doctor who was close by, and she took us. The way she was worse than my mother, because she couldn't take COVID because she's allergic to eggs. So she couldn't take the
She
injections.
couldn't take the shots. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so she
let me
was
ask
really
you
bad, but
this.
she was, yeah,
Let me ask you this. You've had two hurricanes, Irma and Maria, lost electricity,
yeah,
food. You lost electricity. That means your refrigerators weren't all that happy. There's
correct.
flooding, furniture's gone. The roads are, from what I understand, all but impassable. So you were really fortunate that you were able to get to gas. But
Yes,
the reports coming, at least to the States, were that, yeah, it was a hurricane, but there were only 64 people who had died. Now, 64
not
is
all true.
64 too
No,
many. But that
no,
was not
that's
true at all. Research
that
later
was,
showed that there were thousands.
yes, it was because since we didn't have refrigerators and a lot of them were diabetics, the medicine had to be cold. And unfortunately, a lot over 2,500, over 2,000 people died because of that. Plus, a lot of people died in accidents, like
Of course,
trees falling, you know,
of course.
branches falling on top of them and crashes. And it was devastating for everyone in the island. There wasn't anyone who didn't go through some kind of devastation.
You were expecting, you said a few minutes ago that you were expecting to hear from FEMA.
Yeah.
That didn't quite happen. We're going to take just a break, Selma, but when we come back, I'd like to pick up there with talking about the difference between what you expected to get and what you actually did get. We'll be right back. Folks, I want to thank you for joining us today on this edition of M.E.S.H. I'm asking you to subscribe, to like the program. You're hearing things that you've likely not heard before. You are learning about the resilience of people. M.E.S.H is the place to go, to come, to subscribe to, where you're going to hear this story and so many more. Like, subscribe, share this story and all the M.E.S.H stories with folks you care about. We're going to go back to the conversation with Selma. Selma, there was a difference between what you expected from FEMA and what you actually got. What kind of help did you expect? Did the island expect to receive from FEMA? And how quickly did you expect to receive that help?
We expected it like the following day, actually,
Okay.
because we were really, we were trying to do what we could. We were coping with what we had. And we expected that they would fly over and help us as soon as possible. We are a Commonwealth. We are American citizens, and they help people in the States right away. So we expected the same kind of help,
Right.
but not so. Not so. It came a couple of weeks later. As far as my case is concerned, when I reported to FEMA, because I did have problems with one of the neighbors' avocado trees, he fell on our side of the fence and he knocked down our aluminum curtain that we had. And we asked FEMA to come over and help us cut the branch and take it out. It came back, it came to us, they came to us about a month later.
Oh, my.
By that time, I've already gotten somebody who cut the branch, had taken it out, had fixed the curtain, and, and done all of that. When FEMA came, about 5 or 6 people came, and all they did was gathered around talking to each other and asking us questions. How was it? Well, what else can they do? But they couldn't do anything else. There was nothing else to do.
What about electricity? How long did it take for electricity to be restored?
4 months.
4 months?
4 months.
4 months.
Water, yeah. The water came back about a month and a half later. But the electricity was 4 months. That's why we went to the island. When my cousin told me that she had electricity,
Right.
we rushed down there because we couldn't take it anymore. What we were doing after we had recuperated from the hurricane was we'd go to the mall, and then the mall had air conditioning and they had food.
Okay.
And we'd buy hamburgers and junk food.
All right, but at least you had food. Yeah.
Yeah,
Junk
yeah,
food.
that's how we,
How
but that's how we survived. That's how everybody survived. If you got a parking space at the mall, you were extremely lucky. So like at 7:00, everybody was zooming into the mall. But I'm laughing now, but it really wasn't funny. At the moment, it was hard.
Well, it actually sounds extraordinary. I mean, it's hard to imagine that you could be months without electricity, without the basic needs for life: food, water, electricity,
Mhm.
sewers that were open and working. How did you and your mom survive? I mean, it's really fortunate that you had family that were living in a different location, but how did you and your mom survive?
I don't know, by the grace of the Lord, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know. We'd stay a lot of the times in the house, cleaning, trying to clean the outside. We try to keep moving and keep our minds distracted from what had happened.
And
Most of our neighbors, little by little, as time went by, started to leave the island and go to relatives in the States.
now
So when we saw that happening,
you said that, forgive me for interrupting you. I'm just really mindful of our time, and I do want you to have the opportunity to talk more about cancer. You said that your cancer came about
Mhm.
as a fallout from Maria.
Yes,
Can you talk
yes,
more about that?
there were so many generators, and the generators, as you know, run by gas or diesel. And there was so much diesel and gasoline, gas in the air
Uh,
from all our neighbors everywhere that the air was thick. Some people got sick, and others, like myself, got cancer. I got cancer from lungs. Going to bed and with leaving the windows open, which we had to, because if we closed the windows, we would suffocate. We were inhaling that constant smell of diesel and gasoline. And my generator runs on gasoline, so I was inhaling that also. That's how that's how I got my illness. Because
so
I had stopped many years ago. As you know, I wasn't smoking
right,
cigarettes when we knew each other. So I stopped smoking over 50 years ago.
and
But
yet Hurricane Maria and
mhm,
cancer.
yeah. And what really devastated me the most was it really angered me. Finally, we had a president who decided to come down to the island to see what was happening.
What president
It's
was that?
the same one you have now.
Okay.
I don't say his name because after that, I just can't say his name because what he did bothered me so much,
What did he do?
and I found it very insulting. He
What?
came down and he came to a school which is really close to me. I could even walk to it actually, and he climbed up on a stage and started to throw little paper towels to everybody. I found that so insulting because that's not what we needed.
Right,
We needed money. We
right,
needed help. We
right.
needed soldiers to come down and help us clean, and we needed other things, not paper towels.
You needed
I was
electricity and food and water.
I needed electricity and we needed clean water, and he started to throw paper towels, and I found that so humiliating. I refuse to say his name again. I don't. I don't. My mother tries to say, it's something that happened. No, no. I'm sorry. She forgives him, but I can't. I can't.
What are your
And
thoughts now as we wind down our conversation today? What would you like people to think about or remember when it comes to hurricanes in general, and certainly Hurricane Maria?
okay. Uh Anyone and everyone who lives in a place like Florida, for instance, and many states in the United States go through hurricanes,
Yes,
uh, as you know, and it's very devastating. When that happens, if the people in the North could only help them, send them money, send them clothes, send them food, it's appreciated and it's a blessing for them
and
because
life-saving, it sounds like.
it's a life saving. Yes, it is definitely, and it helps them to go forward because you get very depressed, extremely depressed, especially when you have no one around to help you
Right.
and you think you're all alone. It's very sad, very sad. And you get very frustrated and you don't know where to turn. People that live in the islands, whether it's St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John, St. Kitts, Martinique, any island, even Hawaii, when they go through this, it's very devastating for those people because they're far away from the inland. Right. Everything that comes to them is by ship or by plane. And when the planes can't land because the airports are down, they have to wait for the ships, and the ships take a long time. So any little bit helps. Any little bit helps, especially if you're inland. You have to have a heart to help them. Not financially. You don't have to help them financially, but you could help them in other ways. Food, medicine, clothing, things like that. Things that they'll lose. They'll definitely lose.
The basic human necessities.
Yeah, and remember the children too. You know, a child is completely unaware of anything that's happening. A little toy would help entertain them for a little while. They won't be scared of what's happening to mommy and daddy. That also helps. You know, remember the children also.
Absolutely.
It's so important.
I really appreciate your joining me today and really putting a face on the impact of certainly Hurricane Maria. At the end of that story, you have cancer. Your mom is still alive, which is amazing. 105. My goodness. But I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but I think you're way younger than 105. But what you share with us is your own sense of hope and resilience and resolve and courage. So I really thank you for sharing your story with us today. And hopefully people will hear you and be more mindful of helping when any disasters come. Thank you, Selma Rodriguez. You are talking to me from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It was my pleasure. It was totally my pleasure.
Thank you. Well, hopefully we will be able to chat again because I want to hear how mom got to be 105. I'm really kind of curious about that. Folks, thank you again for joining us today on this edition of M.E.S.H. I ask that you subscribe to our M.E.S.H. YouTube channel. If there's a comment that you'd like to share, please do so. And if you would like to share this conversation, please do that as well. Share this with someone you care about. I'm going to be here next week. I hope you are as well. And again, check us out on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. We're all over the place. Your favorite podcast provider, we're around. So thank you for joining us today. And remember that humanity is the most important thing. It is the thing, it is the courage, it is the strength that keeps us whole. Thank you.